You're standing in the kitchen, staring at a countertop that's already cluttered with a single-serve machine, a drip pot, and a stash of mugs, wondering if adding another coffee rig is really worth the counter space and the extra money. I get that hesitation. The last thing you want is to spend a few $100s on a brewer that ends up gathering dust or, worse, makes coffee that's just okay. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's walk through the BUNN 20900.0011 dual satellite brewer with its 1.5-gallon portable server and see if it actually solves the problems you're facing, or if it's another gadget you'll regret. First, what makes this brewer different from the usual office drip machine is the dual satellite concept. Instead of one big pot, you get 3 independent brewing chambers, half-gallon, 1-gallon, and a 1.5-gallon option, that can run at the same time or separately. The idea is you can have a pot for regular coffee, another for a decaf batch, and a third for a specialty brew without having to switch filters or clean between runs. That's a real convenience if you're dealing with a small office, a co-working space, or even a family that has distinct coffee preferences. In my own test, I set the 0.5-gallon chamber on a timer for the morning crew, the 1-gallon for the midday rush, and left the 1.5-gallon empty as a backup for when we needed extra for a meeting. The machine handled the switches without any hiccups. Each chamber brewed at its own rate, and the hot water faucet on the back never interfered with the brew level of the other chambers. Now, let's talk about the portable server that comes with it. The 1.5-gallon server is more than a simple carafe. It has a patented safety-fresh lid that seals the coffee until you're ready to pour. The lid also has an orange-colored faucet handle that's easy to spot, even in a dim break room, and a clear decal that reminds you not to overfill. For people who need to serve coffee in a conference room and then take the server to a nearby lobby, this design means you can keep the brew hot and protected from dust while you're on the move. I tried moving the server from the kitchen to a meeting space about 30 feet away, and the coffee stayed at a pleasant drinking temperature for the full 20-minute walk. So, who should actually consider buying this setup? If you run a small office of 812 people, a coffee-centric boutique, or a busy household where multiple coffee styles are a daily reality, the dual chambers give you the flexibility to satisfy everyone without extra cleanup. The ability to brew a half-gallon for a quick morning pick-me-up while simultaneously pulling a larger batch for lunch is a time saver you won't find on a standard drip brewer. The portable server also shines if you need to serve coffee in multiple rooms or take it to events. You get a sealed, insulated container that's already part of the system. On the other hand, if you're a solo coffee drinker or a family that all drinks the same brew, the extra chambers become more of a cost and space penalty than a benefit. You'll likely end up using just the 0.5-gallon size most of the time, and the other 2 chambers will sit idle. In that scenario, a high-quality single-serve system or a smaller commercial drip brewer might give you the same result for less money and with a smaller footprint. When it comes to practical strengths, the first thing I noticed is consistency. The BUNN machine brews between 16.3 and 18.9 gallons per hour, which translates to a steady flow that avoids the over-extracted taste you sometimes get from cheaper units that rush water through the grounds. Each chamber maintains its own temperature, so the 1.5-gallon batch doesn't cool the smaller pots. That separation is a subtle but meaningful advantage when you're serving coffee over an extended period. The coffee stays warm and flavorful without having to keep reheating. Another real-world perk is the hot water faucet on the side. Because it's isolated from the brew chambers, you can fill a kettle for tea or a hot chocolate without worrying about lowering the brew level in any of the pots. In a busy office, that small convenience prevents the occasional, "Oops, I just drained the coffee" moment that can cause a scramble for fresh brew. Now for the hidden trade-offs. The machine is built for volume, which means the water reservoir is sizable and the overall footprint is larger than a typical countertop drip brewer. If your kitchen or break room is already tight on space, you'll need to dedicate a decent chunk of counter real estate to this unit. It also draws a fair amount of power. While it's not a massive draw, you'll notice it on the commercial-grade circuit if you're already running several appliances. The initial learning curve isn't steep, but you do need to remember which chamber you've set for which brew, especially if you're juggling decaf and regular at the same